Hi class, this is Mr. Bennett. I'm just putting together this quick video to acclimate you to what's coming up for the next couple of weeks. As you can see on my screen, I have our syllabus pulled up, and it is turned to the section where it discusses our next project, Project 2. So let's just go through this description real quickly, and then we'll move on to how you can actually accomplish your next project. So as it states here, if you look real quickly, the Project 2 is broken up into two parts, right? There's Part 1, and then there's Part 2. So don't forget that there's two parts to this assignment. Okay? So as it says, the first part is to create wireframes. We'll get into the details of what wireframes are in just a moment. And then the second part is to create something called style tiles. Back in the day, when I was starting out in web design, we used to call them mood boards. But as time has gone by and as technologies have changed and the way that we look at the websites have changed based on whether we're using our laptop or tablet or cell phone or maybe even your watch, I guess, that these different modalities all have different sizes and dimensions. And so a mood board kind of is a little too vague for what we're trying to accomplish. So style tiles is a better term. We'll get into what that all means in a moment. Finally, once you've created your wireframes and your style tiles, you're going to submit them each in a different way. First, your wireframes, you're going to submit, as it says, online. You're going to submit them online. So in your Project 2 folder, that's your Project 2 folder up on your web host, you're going to make an index page, that's index.html page. And that is going to display your 4 wireframes. So why 4? Because based on the content that I've given you, you're going to have approximately 4 pages to your website. So each web page would have a corresponding wireframe. The wireframe would be used to describe what content or what information or what interface elements you're going to need for that page. Now, as it shows here, I want your wireframes to be 1024 pixels wide. And once you have created your 4 different wireframes, you're going to take those, you're going to save them as images, probably save them as GIF, but another option that you could save them in as PNG, Portable Network Graphic. So you can add those images for your wireframes to that index page. And then in the discussion forum, you'd post a link to your work. Okay, and then that way we can all look at each other's wireframes and kind of get an idea of what's going on there. Okay, I will set up a discussion for that. The other option is, or in addition to that, you're going to submit these in a Dropbox for the course, and you can put your URL in the comments when you make your Dropbox submission. So the one that's most important, though, is that you upload those wireframes to your website so that I can grade them and look at them, and everyone else in the class can look at them based on your URL. Okay, so this is an intermediary step. You're going to create your wireframes, you're going to post them online, and then we're going to take a look at them. And then you're going to do the next part of the assignment, which is to create the style tiles. We'll go visit this in just a moment. But your style tiles will be essentially images that will represent the colors, the textures, the fonts and typography that you're going to use, and possibly even the style of the interface elements that your web page is going to incorporate. Now, the style tile does not include in it specific layout information. So it doesn't tell anyone how your web pages should be laid out as much as it explains to them the style that your website's going to have, the colors and the mood and feel of your web pages. Okay. So as it states here, you're going to create 3 different style tiles. So you're going to have 3 different stylistic approaches, and that way we can mix and match, or as a class we can vote on which one we think is the best one of yours. Okay. Now, from there, you're going to save your tiles as JPEG files. And as we've learned from week 3, JPEG files work really well with photographic images or images that have a lot of smooth gradations. So JPEGs are probably appropriate for your style tiles. So as it states, this should have a representation for each interface element you expect to use. Headings, subheadings, pull quotes, hyperlinks, buttons, forms, background graphics, right? All of the major interface elements. Be sure to consider the following: an appropriate color scheme. Focus on the emotional tone you want to set, right? So if you want it to be really, I can't seem to select that last letter. If you want it to be really clean and organized and well, very clear, then you're going to want to have your color scheme to be maybe somewhat contrasty. It all depends on what mood you're trying to set. Certain colors elicit certain moods. Our content is basically set with something on the ocean or beneath the ocean. So, maybe some blues or greens might be appropriate. Sound typographic choices. Again, you're looking for emotional tone. So if you choose sans serif types like Helvetica or Helvetica New, those tend to be kind of more business. Depending on the weight, if you're using like a Helvetica New Ultra Light, that might be more creative or casual. But again, the type choices that you make will affect not only the emotional tone of your page, but also the readability and the legibility of the headings. Next, subtle and sophisticated use of textures or patterns. Now, you might not choose to use any patterns, but you might choose to use things like gradients. That's basically what that line is really after, is aside from the pictures and the typography, are there any other kinds of surface qualities that your pages or your interface elements are going to have? And then finally, images and graphics. Those things that would help us to not only provide information, like some of the images are specific images that were given to you that relate to the content, but you might also use images on your pages that were not part of the content, but just there to elicit a mood or to set, again, an emotional tone. Okay, so you'll want to try to keep your image and your graphic styles consistent. So if you're sticking with a real, let's say a kind of a punk theme, I don't know why you would use a punk theme for the Marianas Trench, but let's say you did, and things look like they're photocopied, then that treatment would probably want to be consistently applied throughout your site. It would be weird if you had this kind of punk theme and then chose to use a very polished Hello Kitty kind of mixture. Maybe it's possible, but I think it sends mixed messages. So be mindful of being consistent with the tone that you're creating. Again, with the style tiles, what you're going to do now, this is kind of the final part of this assignment, you're going to modify your project 2. So right now, at this point, your project 2 consists of just your wireframes. So you're going to modify your project 2 index page by adding your styles as JPEG images in the images folder. Once they're added to your images folder, then you will name them style 1, 2, 3, and then you'll add those images onto your index page below the wireframes. So when I look at your page, I'll see the wireframes first, and then I'll see your 3 style tiles after the wireframes. Okay, you'll get some feedback from myself and peers, and based on that, you will basically create one final style tile and add that to at the bottom. So at the end of the day, you'll end up with 4 wireframes and 4 style tiles. The 4th style tile will be perhaps maybe a combination of the 3 above it, or maybe whatever, based on your feedback, the changes that you got. Okay, try to use headings to clarify the items so we know where the style tiles and wireframes change. Um, I'll run through a demonstration in another video. Okay, so that's essentially the assignment that you have, creating your wireframes and creating your style tiles. Okay, we'll leave it there, and I'll create another video that will essentially walk you through some of the pieces that will help you create those documents.